Okay, so you may want to grab a fresh pair of these because today we're talking about joining an MLM. Ah, the dreaded pyramid scheme! Except for not really. So you're right in the sense of the general shape. So way to go on your geometry, because one person signs up multiple people who sign up more people, but all of those people get the same benefits and the same compensation plan. So actually it doesn't matter what shape it builds because everybody's equal. As opposed to another pyramid scheme that I've heard of where you have employees and then you have managers and then you have co-managers and then you have bosses and CEOs and CFOs and everything like that. And yeah, the person at the top makes 8 times the amount of money as the person at the bottom. So that's more of the pyramid thing. Anyway, we're also going to talk about 3 kinds of people that will give you that crazy, angry love and how to deal with them. So the first one is called Captain No. Okay, so in this little scenario, I'm both characters because, well, that's all I got right now. So enjoy this little schizophrenic skit done just for you. So you would approach someone, you're like, hey bud, you look really stressed. Is everything okay? No. And you're like, okay, well, have you heard of essential oils? No. Cool, here, take a whiff of this one. It's called Stress Away. No. You're like, no worries, no worries. I thought it was weird stuff too before I tried it. And then you continue on, you're like, you sure you don't want to smell this? And they say, no! And you're like, oh, so you're not sure? No! And you're like, so you do want some? No! And you're like, do you know that you keep saying no? And they're like, no! And you're like, and then you bark? Beto. Okay, so person number 2 that you're going to encounter, this is the in-the-box thinker, right? So, you're talking to them and it's, you know, it's just a fun, organic conversation. They smelled something and they're like, ooh, you know, what is that? And so you explain what it is and then they say, oh, well, I heard that's a scam. You're like, oh dear, where did you hear that from? Everyone. And you're like, okay, who's everyone? Just everyone. You're like, oh, okay, and where did you hear this? Everywhere. And then you're like, oh, okay, so everyone and everywhere. And you're like, all right, well, when did you hear this? And they're like, at all times. And this leaves you kind of baffled because you know that not anyone, everyone, everywhere, at all times is saying this. So then you just take a quick step back, right? And you're just like, oh, okay. So then you just offer them a sniff and they back up like you've released the plague. They're like, you know, they're running away from you because you've opened the essential oil bottle and you're like, oh, okay. I'm sorry. So you explain like what it is and you put it away and whatever, and then they explain to you that their doctor doesn't recommend that, and that their doctor only recommends the prescription drug on the poster directly behind the doctor in his office that's clearly paying for his clinical practice. That was a little far, but it was just enough, actually, and pretty true. So when you run into the everywhere all the time, this is a scam, I'm totally against this kind of person, go ahead and just drop the oils, okay? Drop oils, drop supplements, and focus more towards them, okay? Very, very clearly, something as a kid got them stuffed into the box, okay? So now you just start talking about them, and a great icebreaker is just to say, what did you want to be when you were little? And of course they'll respond with, why? Why is that relevant? Why is that pertinent to this conversation? Why do you need to know that? And you just take a step back and you go, I'm just curious. And maybe they'll start loosening up, and maybe you can figure out they want it to be an astronaut ballerina that eats nacho cheese upside down in the jungle. Or many other very, very important careers. And you just kind of go from there, and you end up making it a personal contact rather than a prospect client. And you go ahead and you put them in the list, yes, for their contact information. But more so than that, you add them as a friend on Facebook. And you just, again, open the space for them to see your posts and see you using the products and see where you can go from there. Alright, and personality archetype number 3, right? This is my favorite one because in this biz, you tend to attract what you are or where you came from. So this last one I call the opportunist with minimal self-worth, which I'm recovering from. Okay, so this is the person that you explain oils, and they're all about it, and they're smelling everything, and they're loving it, they're putting some on, you know, they're asking you, where do I put this, how do I use it? And you just say, go with it, and they think you're super chill. So they're all into it, and they're getting really excited, and then you start talking to them about the business aspect of it, and they are totally jazzed, and they're sitting there going, you mean I could have my own business and actually have time for the stuff that I want to do in my life? But I'm not worthy. And you sit there and you go, these are the people that light up like they're a Disney character and then all of a sudden just like wilt. Like someone has just stolen their ice cream or like ripped the tricycle underneath them and like kicked it. That was intense. Okay, good news is there's an oil for this. So this is when you start pulling out things like magnify your purpose and highest potential and transformation. Now, more than likely, any of the high frequency, you know, personality pushing oils, they're probably gonna reek to this person because they're not quite ready for it yet. And you can tell them that. And if they go, gah, gah, with the oil bottle, then you know you've hit a home run because you can just say, all right, let's work on that, right? If your body is having an adverse reaction to magnify your purpose, then there's got to be something that's standing in the way of you getting to your ultimate purpose. This turns into a beautiful mentoring session, and it stops them from being excited with the whole new world and then totally losing it. It's like Jasmine going up on the carpet and right, she's like, a whole new world, a dazzling place I never knew, and then the carpet smashing down on the ground. Okay, that's how they live their life. They're like, I could do, I can. All right, so let's go ahead and give them some even keel ground, right? You want confidence boosters, and more than anything, this person, yes, needs some product knowledge, and yes, needs to know where to find that, but more importantly, needs you. So number 3 is my favorite because right away, without time to lose, you start working on them, and whether they end up doing the business, whether they end up using any of the products, as long as you made an impact on their life, that's where I'm at. Alright, well thanks Indigo family for this fun conversation. Alright, bye.